Minneapolis, St. Paul, The Fan.
Thank you for calling Gallery Furniture. This call may be recorded for quality assurance.
Gallery Furniture.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, sir?
Good. Thank you very much. My name's Paul Allen. I'm up here outside of Minneapolis on and with KFAN radio. I also call Vikings games on the radio. And I've called many of Mr. McInvale's horses into the winner's circle at Canterbury Park. I'm wondering if Mac is available right now.
He has not made it in yet, sir.
Okay. I have his cell phone number, so I'm sure I can find him. But he definitely would be interested in making some form of wager on this Astros Twins series coming up, because that's what Mac likes to do, right?
Yeah. He likes it, but, no telling what he's going to do.
All right. Well, you're very kind. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for the time. And when you do see Mr. McInvale, Mattress Mack, please let him know Paul Allen from the Twin Cities called. I really enjoy when he runs horses at Canterbury Park, which he does frequently, and I will be getting in touch with him, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. If you don't get him on his cell phone, call back in about an hour to see if he's made it in.
Oh, hey. Okay. Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, see ya. Yeah, Mattress Mack, at Mattress MACK via Twitter. He's been on the 9 to Noon show before. Wonder what kind of radio-related bet we can make with Mattress Mack. Maybe.
Can you hang with the dollars that he's able to hang with?
No, it ain't me. Well, the answer's no, but it ain't going to be me. I mean, iHeart. Can we make Mr. Legret, Messrs. Legret and Alexander? Can we make this play? If the Astros win, Gallery Furniture and Mattress Mack get 2 live reads a week from me for the rest of the year. If the Twins win, his agreement is to spend $100,000 in advertising with KFAN, and we give most, if not all of it, to a charity.
Ooh.
Messrs. Legret and Alexander, my work is done. Yours.
PA on The Fan.
Hey, here comes the Coach's Covenant 9 to Noon. Welcome back. We are privileged to have one-on-ones with Vikings head coach Kevin OConnell. Dean Evason, coach of the Minnesota Wild. They play this evening against the Blackhawks, and the regular season begins a week from today. And also the leader of This Time, now streamable via the iHeartRadio family.
Should hit for 2 off the offensive rebound. 5-1, Timberwolves lead by 4. What a beautiful find by Jake McDaniels, who looked to be a little out of control coming across the plate.
That is Alan Horton, the radio Vox for the Minnesota Timberwolves, calling the game from Abu Dhabi.
Doncic at the 3-point line. Now Towns with it up top. Works against Williams. Dangerous pass to the wing, but Mike's got it. Squirts between 2 defenders. Got tripped up. He hits the floor.
A lot more on that as they get close to the regular season, including Alan Horton inclusion in the 9 to Noon Covenant. But let's begin with KOC. Yeah, we. And early in that game against the Carolina Panthers, KOC, man, holy cow. That crowd was doing you a solid.
We knew from the time you really knew from the time, the buses pulled up to the hotel the day before. There was just so much purple downtown Charlotte. Then coming out of the tunnel before the game, it was eerily similar last year. I don't know if you remember, to Washington.
Yeah.
When that lower bowl was basically purple. And I can't tell you how much that means to our players. And then the energy they had all game long, skull chants. It just felt like U.S. Bank Stadium South. And I know it's a different bank name down there, but our fans fit right in there. And what an effort and by them to make the trip and be there for us when we had to go get one.
And Harrison Smith, to a certain extent, stole the show in that victory over the Panthers. Why is he one of the favorite players you've ever coached? Yeah,
he's, there's just something about Harrison that every single day you just gain so much more respect being around him. The guy loves playing football. That's been obvious his whole career. But what fans maybe don't see is just the work he puts in, personally, with his recovery on his body, making sure he's at his peak performance. Guy's played a lot of football in his career, and he knows exactly how to prepare. But then what he's really done over these last 2 years that I've been with him is just the leadership role has really been what's blown me away. Taking guys, under his wing, bringing some young guys along, having such a vital role in this Brian Flores defense, and kind of essentially in a lot of ways being a coach on the field. But he moved all that to the side the other day, and when we absolutely had to have it from Harry, he goes out and has an unbelievable performance. I credit Flo and the staff for putting him in some positions that allowed him to really impact the game, because that was really my challenge to those guys. I want, whether it's Marcus Davenport coming back, Daniil, Harrison Smith, I want those guys to feel like they can change the game with how we're using them, and it played out like that.
Kevin, do you sense the tricks or maybe the nuance of this defense is starting to become second nature with the players 4 games into it?
Well, I think the special part about it, PA, is just how you can build off of previously shown looks or things that maybe were effective or weren't effective, but coaches are game planning against those things. And what Flo and his staff are doing, adding kind of some new bells and whistles, looks out of the all-out pressure looks out of coverage looks where we bring pressures, the all-out looks where we play coverage. Just trying to, as Flo talks about, hold the pen last and give our guys advantages where we can. But our group's flying around, and we want to make sure by the time the game comes around, they're locked in on the plan. They know some of the things that they may see, so they can react, play fast, and continue to be a good tackling bunch.
And I would imagine the farther along you get, it gives Brian, the defensive coordinator, more confidence to get to the bottom of the bag and call what he wants, but players have to be rote on exactly what to do, right?
Yep, and just all the different things that people are preparing for pressure. We're one of the highest, if not the highest, pressure units in the NFL. So offensive coaches, to credit to them, they've had preset plans of kicking the ball out on bubbles or quick game to eliminate the stress on the quarterback. That's kind of made for some 3, 4, 5, 6 yard gains, keeping people manageable. And then when we get those third down ops, we've got to get off the field. Yeah. What I liked about the Carolina game, PA, was there were some critical third and longer situations, the end of game sequence. Even the DJ Wanham touchdown off Harrison's strip sack, that was a 2nd and 17. They had gotten a penalty, but the play nobody's going to remember is the Daniil Hunter TFL, the play before, where we're in a pressure look. They're just trying to get a run off. We've kind of got the bubble defended, and ultimately Daniil makes that play, forces 2nd and long. Now we can try to tee off on that again on 2nd down and get the ball out and try to make a play.
This is Kevin OConnell, and this is X's and O's on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network and also Vikings.com, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery. Speaking of DJ Wanham, any idea he had that type of giddy up down the field? He might have gotten a little gassed inside the 15, but he was fast for about 25, 30 of those yards.
He was rolling, and I'll never forget it, just how slow when I saw that ball bouncing and just waiting. I think I had time in that moment to ask myself the question, is this going to be the bounce that goes our way?
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of footballs on the ground bouncing the wrong way over the first 3 days, and when he got that nice kick up to about knee high and scooped that thing, I knew he was going. How about him peeking the scoreboard and getting the cut back in there? I think there was about 4 or 5 coaches on that sideline who beat me down that sideline, but I was definitely trying to make it down there myself.
And Jordan Hicks was sneaky good on that play. I mean, he's not destroying people with blocks. He's just like getting in the way, but if he doesn't, it might not get there, right?
Yeah, and you always worry as a coach in those situations, because you're coaching finish and try to escort him into the end zone, but so many times we see a clip clip or, the block in the back as it gets down close to that goal line. And the last thing you want in that moment is to have more points taken off the board. We had an offensive touchdown come off for holding, and for our guys to have that finish, get down there, and then just seeing that group celebrating in the end zone was awesome.
It seemed from afar like whatever the plan was for defensive lineman Derek Brown and their best pass rusher Brian Burns, whatever the plan was, it seemed like, and I know there are no 100 out of 100 grades, but it seemed like it worked pretty well.
Yeah, we wanted to account for 95 inside. He's can be a game wrecker, and we talk a lot about these interior D linemen. It seems like every single week we'll have Chris Jones this week, amongst other guys that they have up front. But we wanted to make sure that 95 felt us in the run game. We had some great early combinations on him. First and 15, our first real run of the day. We end up, Ed and Brian O'Neill end up taking him on a ride, and he's facing his own goal line 5 yards down the field. It was a mentality thing. That's been part of getting our run game going. And then in the pass protection phase with Burns on the edge, 95, we just tried to make sure we were doing our part when we could, trying to get the ball out quickly, and seeing if we can get some play pass chances down the field. We hit JJ on one. We got a little rhythm going in that 2 minute before the tip ball interception. But how consistent can we be, giving Kirk that time to manipulate coverage and get our dangerous weapons down the field to try to attack coverage? It's a battle we fight every single week in this league, and we're going to need to make some plays this week, and our O-line hopefully will be up for the challenge.
So as cliche as it may be, all right, here come the champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. But is it fair to say, to be the best, you have to beat the best? And this is a wonderfully exciting opportunity.
Yeah, I just, to get that win last week, be able to come back to U.S. Bank Stadium and have our great fans there, and we'll have that home environment that makes it so special there. What I talked to the team about it in the locker room after the Carolina game. Let's go have a performance in front of our fans that they deserve. And let's play a complete game in all three phases. We have more than enough confidence in our group, and our players have confidence in themselves. If we play clean football in all three phases, we're going to be able to give this team a game, and heck of a challenge. Best quarterback in football. So much respect for Andy Reid, all the weapons they have on offense, and then Chris Jones and what Spags is doing with that defense. They're flying around. Good young people, good young talent on the back end, linebacker. It's going to be a challenge, PA, but one I think is coming at a time for our team when we've got confidence, we've prepared the right way. Let's see if it can all come together for us against the world champs.
Second Chris Jones reference without even being prompted. So you're thinking a little bit about him this week, aren't you?
Yeah, he's a spectacular player. One of the best in our league, if not right up there, if not the best with Aaron Donald as far as interior game wreckers go. And we've got to have a good plan for him. We've got to be willing to step up to those matchups if they ever are one-on-ones. But then when we can, try to find a way to get multiple Vikings on him in the run and pass game, and ultimately see if we can get chances to get our guys going down the field.
They just specifically in the regular season, but really the totality for the Chiefs, they seem to be so poised under pressure.
Yep.
Now when you have Mahomes and Reid, who's just seen everything, that makes it easier, right?
Yeah, and I think the types of ways that Andy puts those guys in positions to have the success they do is one thing, but you just watch Patrick Mahomes enough on tape, and you see him in less than ideal circumstances. If you pause that tape, you say there's no way this 3rd and 17, 15 ends up being first down Chiefs, or this red zone opportunity ends up being a touchdown for the Chiefs. And time again, he makes those plays happen. It really is remarkable what he does each and every Sunday. What a challenge for our defense. We've got to try to, take the game that we played last Sunday and take it to a new stratosphere schematically, and just our production level of making the plays when they're there to be made. Easier said than done.
So lastly here with Patrick, does he want to stay in the pocket? I mean, does he prefer, I'm going to straight drop guy, 5 or 7 step drop, or does he want to run and make it street ball? Does he have a preference?
I think that's the best thing about his game, is he can be equally devastating doing both, and he allows the play to really take him to that answer. And that's what's so hard. There's no predetermined nature of when he leaves the pocket, how he leaves the pocket. He's always going to keep his eyes up. Those guys are incredibly schooled on the scramble drill, where to uncover, how to uncover, to ultimately cause maximum problems when he does break contain. But if there's an open guy in rhythm that he wants to take, or he progresses through a progression, he's going to hit him every time. So you got to know, you got to be that much better on the front and back side of coverage, and then have the ability to plaster and stay with your man through the echo of the whistle. And those guys up front have to rush with, great discipline, try to keep him contained. And even when you do that, getting him on the ground is a whole nother challenge.
From KOC in Egan to Wolves coach Chris Finch in Abu Dhabi. The Coach's Covenant.
Wild, KFAN.
Coach's Covenant, you say, one-on-ones with head coaches like PJ Fleck each and every Monday at 10:47. Chris Finch, Dean Evason, Kevin OConnell. And speaking of Chris Finch, taped with him earlier this morning. They're playing the Mavs right now. You can stream that via the iHeartRadio app. And with Chris Finch, I started off by saying, hey, if you check out the Timberwolves Twitter and all the pictures from like people on camels and getting on planes and having a great time, you've done a wonderful job of avoiding every camera shot. Why?
I've always thought that basketball coaches would make good CIA agents. So, let's keep a low profile as we move around the world.
What's the weather like in Abu Dhabi, and what's life like there, granted in truncated fashion?
Yeah, it's a stunning and very interesting country. It's very modern, extremely clean. Everybody's been very nice, warm, and welcoming. We're fortunate enough to be sitting here in the Arabian Gulf on a beachside resort, looking out at crystal blue waters. But it's very hot, as you can imagine. It's up around 100 every day. But what's kind of caught us all a little bit by surprise is it must be the humid season here. It's very, very, very muggy, which you wouldn't think so. But, yesterday we had an event inland, and more into the desert, and, it kind of, as you would expect, the humidity tapered off. But it's a country that probably has more construction cranes than trees. You see, when you look down the landscape, you see construction cranes for miles and miles in every direction. It's just fast-growing, fast-developing, and as I said before, super modern.
Now, I know that as part of your security team, you guys have my main man, Tony Adams, with you, who I've known for multiple decades. So you guys are protected and you're insulated, and you have those with you to help guide you and stuff like that. The point being here is like with nightlife and like getting out at the night or hotel lobbies and stuff like that. Truly, how safe do you feel when you're that far away from home?
Extremely safe, quite honestly. Our hotel is probably 80% NBA in this hotel, with both teams staying here, the league office, a lot of people that are here out involved with the game. But, we've been placed under no restrictions to move around. It's an extremely safe country, has a low crime rate in general. So we've felt completely, like normal when we're out and about. We don't have to leave with a security detail when we leave the resort. You just basically let them know where you're kind of going in case there was any incident that did pop up, but it's been nothing. And you would think you're in Phoenix, with the weather, the landscape, and just kind of how brown and modern everything looks.
So, are there NBA fans of the Timberwolves, the Dallas Mavericks, or really any team in the NBA who they just think regular season or postseason, and fans outside of hotels and hotel lobbies looking for pictures and autographs and stuff like that? So, I don't know, do kids show up from the Dubai or Sharjah or Ajman just to get a picture with Anthony Edwards or Luka Doncic?
Yeah, for sure. At our hotel, we've not had as much of that as you would have in America. with the autograph sneakers, but you certainly do when you're out and about. People are very curious. It is against the law to take pictures of people without their permission here. Wow. So there's a very, very healthy amount of respect for people and their privacy and their personal space. I think that's just ingrained in the culture here. So that doesn't seem to be a problem. But there is going to be a large international presence. We're not very far from Europe. We're not that far from Asia. And just at Media Day yesterday, there was 100 and some different media from almost nearly as many countries. So it's a little bit of a cross-section of this part of the world. Not that difficult to get to. And I think the fan base will be reflective of that tonight.
So you're telling me, Coach Finch, that if a Billy, Johnny, Christy, Susie, Tamika, or Antoine from Doha, Qatar snapped an iPhone photo of Coach Finch and Abu Dhabi's police saw it, they could be arrested?
That's what we've been told before we came out here. Just to be mindful of that type of kind of intrusion into people's personal life. Now, I don't know if that extends to public figures as much as it would private figures, for sure. So it's a good question, but for the most part, like I said, people have been extremely nice and very, very respectful.
Every time we chat with Coach Finch, it behooves us to thank Second Harvest Heartland, not only for aiding us with Chris, but for Chris being on the board of directors and just everything Second Harvest Heartland has to offer. And by the way, speaking of offering, it's wonderful that whatever offer was made which way. It's super cool you guys are in the iHeartRadio family, specifically with KFAN, and we are streaming your games. And personally speaking, for my show, 9 to noon, now I get to have Alan Horton on my radio show. This is really cool.
Yeah, we're super excited about the relationship. I know it's kind of where the roots of the franchise started back in the day, and we're certainly happy to be back, but I think the most exciting thing about the relationship and going forward is just how multidimensional we can make it. You and I ran into each other at a charity event the other night. You had 1,000 great ideas about the way that we can, interact, and they're all really good. Bring some life, bring some depth across a lot of different platforms that the iHeart, portfolio has. So it's more than just the delivery of the games. I mean, that's important. Everybody loves Allen, and he's great. But for you to be able to tap into players or be Allen or more easily into any front office or business side when new and exciting things that do come up that want to talk about, it's all there for us, and we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, like I told Ryan Tanke and/or Ethan Casson, a couple of the big bosses with the Wolves, unless Alex Rodriguez joins my radio show 5 consecutive days, we're never talking about the Timberwolves 9 to noon. And obviously that was a joke, but nevertheless, Chris Finch, by the way, is in Abu Dhabi with the Timberwolves, playing the Dallas Mavericks right now. The game is taking place right now. We taped this earlier on Thursday morning, with that 9-hour time difference, Coach, did you guys do like any activation body things when you got there to speed up the body clock and loosen the limbs? Something out of the ordinary?
Nothing out of the ordinary, but that's pretty standard practice now when you do travel, as you know. A lot of times the team will meet in a big ballroom. They'll do some basic stretching, maybe some yoga type stuff, some activation that could be in the weight room, low level, low intensity, but just to get that blood flow, to try to get you as best pointed in the right direction to kind of recover. A lot of it has to do with, when you eat too and how you eat and what you eat. There's some science that says, your body clock is often dominated by your food clock when it comes to getting on the new time zone. So we try to marry up as quickly as we possibly can on an eating schedule, and then you just like anything else, you just got to get your sleep in and try to get on that pattern. And I know yesterday was a day that caught many of our guys. It caught me too. as a touch-up day. We've been kind of ripping and running since we hit the ground here, which is also important. I think it's important to kind of fill your day with things so you're not just, falling asleep and napping at the worst possible time.
Now, when I ask you about one of your new players, and I say Sheikh, I'm not talking about Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum. I'm talking about Malik Benjamin Sheikh Milton, who used to play for the Philadelphia 76ers. So how is Sheikh getting along? Is he nailing some cold-blooded threes for you?
I'll tell you what, he's been everything we hoped for and more. One of the surprises of camp. We love his size, his versatility in the backcourt. We think he's a good partner with pretty much everybody on the roster in the backcourt. We think he's going to be a great partner for Rudy in pick and roll. He's got really good length. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He can get where he wants to go with the ball, and does it like on his time with his pace. And he's pretty shifty. As a starter, I think his numbers as a starter are something like 16, 5, and 4. Just got buried with a lot of depth, particularly after the Harden trade in Philly.
Yeah.
And, he became more of a situational guy, situational starter sometimes. But he's always had good numbers and good percentages. And what he's really needed is a consistent role. And one of the reasons he chose coming here, amongst many other offers, is that we were able to provide that role for him. So, but he's better than we thought. And, of course, we'll continue to learn each other as the season starts. But so far, he's been a great addition.
Well, Chris, take that a step farther for me and us, please, because I have wondered for quite some time about how strange it was for Sheikh Milton in Philadelphia. I mean, he'd fill in and play 30 minutes and score 30 points, and then he'd go back to the bench and basically wouldn't play. So I know with Maxey and Harden and the depth they have and everything, but that's such a stark contrast.
Yeah, and it's hard to do. I mean, that's talent in itself, is to be ready when you're called upon and then play that number of minutes and play at a high level and be able to produce pretty much on demand. What we admire about him, and I think, when we did our homework on him, like when he didn't play, he never complained, never stopped working. He always stayed patient and ready. And, that just speaks to the type of individual he is and to his professionalism. And again, hopefully we don't have to experience that, because we feel he's got a role here, and he's going to seize that and only grow it, not give us a reason to not play him.
So with the Mavericks, who are with you on this Abu Dhabi trip, Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, do you believe as the season rolls on? Well, I mean, they're both so super gifted. It's unbelievable. But now having some time together and an off season and Abu Dhabi, and please don't take any pictures of Kyrie because we don't want to throw you in the slammer. Do you believe that they're going to be really, really tough in the regular season?
Yeah, I do. I think they're just, one of the teams in the West that not a lot of people are talking about, but when they figure it out, and they will figure it out, they will be extremely tough to beat. I think key to that is some of their other acquisitions. Grant Williams from the Celtics, they picked up in free agency, I believe. Not sure if it was trade or free agency, but I think it was free agency. And, he's like a winning player, multi-skilled, can guard multiple positions, plays with a toughness, has fit in around star players already, knows what that takes. They've got Seth Curry. They brought him back to play alongside Luka. He played really well a few years ago when he was there. They drafted well. They took the lively kid out of Duke, who's going to be athletic, rolling, big rim protector for them. Now, like all rookies, he'll have a learning curve, but I think his role will be perfectly suited next to those two guys. So everybody kind of knows who they are and is comfortable with who they are, which allows the runway for Kyrie and Luka to continue to figure it out. And I'm sure that they've had a lot of discussions and they've looked at a lot of different things to make that work in the off season. So you would expect them to be, working, together well. But again, preseason is going to be for everybody to try and test what they think might work in June and July, and we'll see how it really works come August.
Have you,
October, rather.
Coach Finch, have you in any way become homesick, or are you just not there long enough?
I'm not really homesick because we bounce around so much. So if you're homesick, it's probably the wrong profession to be in. But we've been here for a few days. It feels like we've been here forever, but that's not a bad thing.
What's the food like over there?
Yeah, as you'd expect, it's extremely Mediterranean. A lot of lamb, a lot of mixed grilled type stuff. Lots of rice. Little bit Greek influence to it. A little bit Moroccan influence to it. And then because it's really across. Everybody comes to this part of the world to do their oil and gas business. They have every cuisine you can possibly imagine.
Have you, other than Milton, have you met any sheikhs?
Actually, yeah, we have, but don't ask me to name them, who they are. But they've been they stopped by one of our events last night. They stopped by practice today with Adam Silver. Thanked us for coming, wished us the best of luck. They're actually quite fond of the NBA and its players.
All righty, my man. Safe travels. Keep everybody healthy, and we'll chat when you get back. And have fun, okay?
All right. Thanks, PA. Take care.
Yeah, appreciate you. That's Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, as the Coach's Corner, 9 to noon, continues. And now we chat with Dean Evason, coach of the Minnesota Wild. They play at Chicago in the preseason this evening. And Dean, welcome to the radio show. Everybody all raring to go for that Blackhawks game?
Yes, absolutely. Last couple here gearing up. We'll have literally our full lineup in tonight.
The regular season begins a week from today, and I believe we have a Vox in the Box at XL Energy Center for the season opener against Florida. Holy cow, I mean, speaking for myself and maybe some others, that kind of crept up on us a little bit. It's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's been such beautiful weather outside. It almost doesn't feel like it, right? And but it's wonderful. Looking forward to it. We've had a real good training camp. I think it's went real well. We just finished our little team building exercise up in Duluth, so got that kind of out of the way, and guys are tight and ready to get it going.
That bonding trip in Duluth, players versus staff playing golf. How did that work out? Who's the best staff golfer? And like anybody get a hole in one?
No hole in ones. We tied 3-3 in our matches. Came down to a one hole playoff 4 against 4. We played a 4 against 4 scramble format. It was very dark. That's what the staff is blaming it on. Ryan Hartman, being young eyes, was able to see the putt, made the putt, and they beat us by 130-foot putt.
That's dramatic. Holy cow. I mean, the world can have the Ryder Cup. I'd almost rather be up there for that. Did Guerin or Madonna in any way let you guys down?
No, they did not. Both were really solid players. You know what? It was such a fun format. It was a fun match. The players obviously enjoy competing against us. We enjoy it as well. We just need a victory.
Speaking of victories, last season when the regular season commenced, you guys got off to a slow / very weird start and then picked it up. So like a week from today, beginning against Florida, and then subsequently the games after that, what are some keys this year? What are you preaching to the players about getting off to a fast start?
Well, we've talked about it a lot. Obviously, you have to do that, but we've also played a lot of hockey here in preseason, and what I mean by that is that when in practice we've scrimmaged a lot, we've played the game of hockey as opposed to just practicing it. Our guys are really dialed in as far as our system stuff, and were last year. but we felt that we weren't maybe in the good enough hockey playing mindset, and that got us off to a bit of a slow start. Also, the year before we had a good year, so people, weren't surprised by the Minnesota Wild. They're not going to be surprised again. We're going to compete our butts off. Teams know that. They'll be ready for us. We'll be ready as well.
So within the last week or so, it was announced 4 more years for Foligno, a couple more for Zuccarello. Good, talented players, and obviously they fill super roles in the ultimate team game, but good core guys, right?
Yeah, there's no question that both of them are big parts of our hockey club. Different dimensions, obviously, both of them, but both leaders in their own right. Moose wears an A, but Zuccarello has a very strong voice within our locker room, and obviously what he does on the ice as far as putting up points, and clearly plays with Kirill. For the most part, they've had a nice combination with the two of them with Hartsey over the last few years. But, very excited. The organization were not only able to sign quality hockey players, but quality people as well.
Wild off to Chicago to play the Blackhawks this evening in the preseason. Regular season begins a week from today. This is Coach Dean Evason, nice enough to join 9 to noon on a weekly basis. And, Kalen Addison, we read, was stuck around Minnesota this summer to work and improve, which obviously is positive. Would you feel he truly has a hunger to learn more and earn and keep his spot?
Absolutely. We've seen not only his play dictate that, but his attitude and demeanor, the way that he conducts himself around his teammates. He's confident. He's more mature. And as you said, he's hungry to make that next step to help his hockey club win. And that means to play gritty and determined and intense in all areas of the game. We know that he does that offensively, and we've challenged him to do it defensively. And in all 3 zones, he's committed to that. He's done it so far. We need him to continue to do that.
Last 2 here, Dean. Thank you. Your squad, the Wild, have been recognized many times from many different sources for depth in the prospect ranks. And as the roster is finalized and the youngsters are assigned to Iowa, or players are assigned to Iowa, do you genuinely feel like you have a healthy, talented crop that you can call on if needed?
Well, that's a really good point. Yes, we do think that. Great credit, obviously, to our scouting staff and our pro scouts of getting quality players in here and quality people. But there's no question that we've got guys pushing. We just sent 4 guys down yesterday, 5 actually, that we all spoke to about being the best player down there, so that when we make that call, Brett McLean says your name and not someone else's name. But everybody is on equal footing down there. We've got a pool of defensemen as well as forwards that we could call up. It's not necessarily decided one guy right now that'll be the guy if we needed somebody to come up. So yeah, we've got a lot of competition to have that spot filled if and when we need it.
And lastly, you have a new player named Jake Lucchini. He signed that 2-year deal. Used to be a 2-way deal, that is. Used to be in the Ottawa Senators organization. And I've known Jake in a roundabout way for many years, since he played with a family friend of mine named Jake Jackson at Michigan Tech. And I don't know what his lot in life is with the future with you guys. But seriously, you could not have brought in a better human being. Jake Lucchini's a fantastic addition to this organization.
Well, he's somebody that I didn't know a whole lot about. Billy Guerin did. Worked with him in the past. I believe it was in Pittsburgh organization. Knew him, but we were very, very excited to see his game. Not only does he have both sides of the puck as far as offense and defense, he's got a bite to him, plays a gritty game, and he is no question in that pool that we just mentioned of players that have an opportunity to come up and play for the Minnesota Wild.
Thank you so much. Coach's Corner. That was Dean Evason and Chris Finch, head coaches of the Wild and Timberwolves, respectively. Final segments, 9 to noon, brought to you by Casey's. For lunch today, I'm going to get a mega slice of pizza and a medium fountain drink for just $4. Casey's, here for good. Thank you, Casey's.
Monticello, go crazy. The feast is coming to Monticello tomorrow. Buffalo Wild Wings, PA in charge on KFAN. Thank you very much for listening to the radio show today. It means a lot to us, and have a wonderful day.
Lucky we got 'em.
Wow, wasn't that fun?
Good time.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio